Hello, my name is Juliana. I'm not sure if we've met before. If we have, then nice to see you again. But if it's your first time, then it's very nice to meet you. I am new to this. I've tried recording this video like 3 times. This is the third time. So hopefully, third time's the charm, right? That's what people say. The first time I recorded it, I did it at night. So I had to use like a ring light and a lamp, and I took so long to try to get the lighting to work to make it look nice. And in the end, I kind of got it, but then I watched it and it just it didn't look so good. And also, I don't know why it was so weird for me to like talk in front of the camera, even though I'm an actor and I have experience being in front of the camera. It's different because I don't have a co-actor, so I'm trying to imagine that my phone is a friend. So yeah. Then the second time I tried to do it, I did it yesterday, and it went a lot better. Also, I thought it did, but I encountered so many technical difficulties that you know what? After reviewing both the audio recording and the video recording, I was like, you know what? Forget it. Forget it. I'm just gonna do it again. So I wanted to make this video because it's something that I have a lot of things to say about. I have a lot of things to say about a lot of things, but let's start here, okay? This was kind of born out of some recent events where a couple of friends have told me that because I live on my own, aka I've moved out of my family home, they would tell me that they've always wanted to live on their own too. And I completely understand that feeling. I mean, obviously, I'm here, right? But I also had to be realistic. And even though I think that it's a wonderful decision and it has a lot of positive things about it, I think that there's a lot of things that you may have to consider that you don't realize before you move out. And I wanted to, I guess, have a bit of a that was my cat. Have a bit of a candid talk about what some of these things are that you might not realize you might have to take into consideration. And maybe talk you through like how to think about some of the reasons why you might want to move out and some of the things that you may or may not expect. Again, everybody's journey is different, and mine was a little bit difficult because I moved out because of certain tensions within my family. So it wasn't like, I just want to be independent. I am the main character now. I'm going to live my life. Okay, be right back. My cat is yelling at me. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Where was I? Right. Okay, so yeah, everything is dependent on situation, and I guess this video is specific for people who want to move out of their family home, not because especially because they are trying to get through some difficult family situation. Yes. Obviously, this is not meant for those who are going through some very abusive behaviors in their family or extremely toxic behavior in their family. I think if it gets to a point where it's physical, then the answer is clear. Remove yourself from that situation and try to find some safety elsewhere. But this is more for the people who have some kind of difficult relationship with their family, and they're deciding or they're considering moving out. Okay, so there are a couple of things that I wish I knew before I moved out, that I know now, and obviously it hasn't changed how I feel about my decision to move out. I'm very grateful and thankful that I did it. I think it's one of the best decisions that I've made, but it wasn't an easy journey, and I wish that I was more open about it to like my friends or people that are close to me, because I felt like a lot of times I mostly kept things to myself, Say with the exception of like one or two people, but I also felt really bad that I was possibly burdening them by kind of using them as an emotional like outlet all the time. So just know that you are not alone. At the bare minimum, you have me. You can consider me your friend for now. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing is, and this one I wish I figured out a little bit earlier because I was so impatient, and it's that things won't change overnight. Just because you move out and remove yourself from that situation doesn't mean that you're like a completely different person. You'll find that no matter what you learned, and that more so became like your survival method, coping mechanism, things that you do for survival, basically. You'll find that these things stay with you even after you remove yourself from that situation. Even after you don't have to directly deal with whatever it is that you're dealing with, it's not going to change overnight. Sure, it's going to give you like the space and the freedom to heal at your own pace without dealing more damage. But any growth that you do is entirely internal and has nothing to do with the external. And I wish I understood this earlier, because I started feeling so impatient and wondering, why is it that I still feel the same level of like anxiety that I had when I was living with my family, and clearly having some of that fear and anxiety come out of there. Why was I still carrying this? Why do I still get jumpy? Or why do I still get nervous when someone calls me on the phone? Why do I still get nervous when I hear the door open? And you think that those things would go away, but they don't. And I think that's something you just kind of have to be honest with yourself and have patience. Like, yeah, it's not gonna go away that easily, and that's okay. It's completely normal. Hello, I'm back with lighting change. Also, there might be background noise because it started raining. So I had to like turn on the lamp because it was getting dark. I'm relying on natural light from my window, from my small window. But I realized it just wasn't enough. Also, I had a snack break. Okay, so number 2, you're gonna have to get ready to say goodbye to a lot of things. Let's talk about actual things first, okay? I would recommend that you do not, please don't bring every single thing that you own from your previous house to your new home. Don't do it. I can say this because that's exactly what I did. I did absolutely no level of curation or decluttering, and I basically packed every single thing that I owned that I had accumulated in my 20-something years of living into boxes, and I transported all of them to my new place. And I remember all my friends who were helping me at that point tell me like, "Oh my god, you have so many things." And I thought this was normal. But then when I moved into my new place, I realized that there were so many things that I shouldn't have brought along with me. They just didn't serve me in my new life that I was trying to build for myself. And instead they became baggage, not just literal baggage that you have to box up and ship to your new place. Which, by the way, like the more things that you have, of course, it's going to be more expensive. But also the fact that now there's emotional baggage from your past life that you just don't need anymore. And maybe you might need some time to let go of them. But I suggest that you should do it before you move out, if possible at all. That's just one little tip that I have. It's just not worth it. It's really not worth it. You can afford to be picky. You can afford to be precious about it, and not precious about the things, but precious about the space that you're trying to curate for yourself. Okay? Don't do it. The other thing that you're going to have to say goodbye to, and this is dependent entirely on how much you romanticize things. There are going to be certain things in your past life or past home that you might miss. It's easy when you're in the heat of the moment to think of only negative things, like you cannot be fully yourself in this house, or you feel like you're stuck, and you easily paint the entire picture in one palette, and that's the palette of your current state. It's so easy to do that. It's hard to kind of distance yourself from whatever you're feeling at the moment and really consider what are some of the things that you really like, or at least that you feel comfortable in. It may be small things, but small things can add up to make something big as well. I miss hearing kind of the hustle and bustle of people at home, of everyone just kind of doing their own thing, and then you're just doing your own thing. Yeah, I think sometimes it can get lonely, which is one of the next points that I'm going to share. And I think that sometimes, more than all of these things that I miss that version of myself that was once full of naivety and hopefulness. Like when we were young, or maybe not we, when I was young, I definitely felt like I could do anything. I could try to do anything and it will work out. And I think that hopefulness served me at that point of time, but doesn't really serve me anymore. Now, it helps to be objective about things and try to consider the real possibility of certain events happening. But I miss that. I miss having that naivety, that everything is gonna work out, that I just have to work really hard. Now I gotta be a bit more cunning about it, but I'm still hopeful. But it's just not the same level of hopefulness. The fact that you are considering a change of environment to fit your new life, to begin new, to begin again, means that you're already growing out of whatever it is that didn't serve you anymore. Whether it was accepting a certain kind of treatment or accepting a certain kind of lifestyle, it's a good sign that you're ready to move on. Now the next step is, of course, how you should move on, whether or not moving out is really the right thing to do. Okay, number 3, you're gonna wonder where all your money is going. This is a short one, but it's very straight to the point. You have to be strong, and you have to have strong convictions about why you decide to move out. It can't be this superficial. Unless you're making really good money, then it's different. But it cannot be this superficial, I just want to have a place where I can always have parties and invite my friends or whatever. That sounds amazing, and you can do all those things. But also try to reflect on what emotionally or, spiritually, I don't know, spiritually, depends if you're a spiritual person. Emotionally, what you're trying to gain from this. What are some of the things that you are removing from your life? What are some of the things that you want to add on to your life? And be very honest with it, and constantly remind yourself why you're doing it, because every month when you pay rent and you pay bills, it's going to hurt. You're going to wonder why you're doing this. You're going to question yourself and doubt yourself. Is this really the best decision that I can make for myself? And that's normal. So be strong. I believe in you. Okay, number 4, you're going to feel lonely for a bit, and that is maybe a good thing. And it's completely normal. It makes sense. When you move out and you're living on your own, you're gonna feel alone. Whether or not you feel lonely is a different thing, because you can be with people and still feel lonely. You can be on your own and not feel lonely at all. Some people are a bit more attuned to living on their own. They're comfortable being by themselves. They enjoy the company. I quite enjoy my own company, so I didn't have a lot of issues with this, although that doesn't mean that I'm exempt from being lonely sometimes. If you're not used to being alone, then this is a wonderful opportunity for you to figure out how you like to be alone. It's a time for you to figure out how you can be your best company, to build that relationship with yourself. Because if you don't have a lot of exposure being alone, it can be kind of daunting, because you don't know, you're not comfortable doing things alone, you're not comfortable going out to eat alone, not comfortable watching a movie alone. And sure, actually there are a lot of ways for you to navigate around this. if you're living like in a place with no landlord and you are welcome to have guests over, you could have people over all the time. I love having people over. I think one of the best things is that I am able to just invite anyone over to my place, and I love the warm feeling of company and having people around. Even if like they're not here to like hang out with me and they're just sitting in the living room just doing work, I really enjoy that. And I think that that's one way that I kind of warm up the house, so that it's not so cold. You could also just spend more time with friends or people that you love, to kind of navigate around feeling alone. But more importantly, you're gonna, if you get scared of the dark or ghosts, even if you don't believe in it, sometimes it can get a bit creepy. You have to do that thing where you like switch off the light and then you quickly run, and every sound kind of sets you off. The only solace that I have found is that I have a cat, and that I have heard that cats have like a sixth sense, so they're able to tell if there's like a spirit or if there's like a presence. And as long as my cat seems pretty chill, that I'm probably safe. Sometimes there are like sounds outside in the corridor, like doors, and I'm like, oh my god, am I gonna get robbed? Is someone gonna bring to my house? So those kind of things happen, but I guess those things can happen anytime, anywhere. It's just that when you're living on your own, it's a little bit more scary than usual. So in conclusion, feeling lonely is a normal thing. Use the time to grow a relationship with yourself. You know, be your best company, be your best friend, be your own best friend. Honestly, no one gets you better than you do. It's a fantastic opportunity to learn that. Okay, and the last point that I'm gonna make, which is I think the biggest one. I'm assuming that most of the people watching this are Singaporeans and Asians, and you know, it's not very common for us to hear about young people who move out the house before marriage, not because of like work or school, not because they moved out of the country to like go to uni or whatever, purely because they want to move out on their own. It's so uncommon. It's common in like America, it's common in Europe maybe, but it's just not common here. So you are going to face some like weird questions, like maybe your parents will feel like you are disowning them, you know, or that they will say things like, oh, is this house not good enough? Are we not good enough for you? Why are you trying to run away from us? Are you disowning us? And unless they're like super progressive, they're gonna ask questions about it, and it's gonna feel a bit personal to them. So you know your family best. Try to navigate around it, but be smart about it. Try not to burn bridges. I burned bridges, and I wouldn't recommend it. If you can, try to avoid it. Okay, if you manage to gain their approval, or maybe they at least like resign to it, then first of all, congratulations. I think that's quite a big milestone. It can be quite difficult. But also there is that level of internal guilt. When I spoke about how things won't change overnight, most of the time, if you have been kind of guilted into feeling a certain way, even after you're kind of removed from that situation, you might still carry some of the internal guilt with you. I think that's normal. You can try to find ways to navigate around this and do things that will make you feel not so bad. Like, it helps if you still keep in contact with them, if you remind them that this is supposed to be a good thing, that maybe some distance will create a stronger relationship and will mend the relationship. But that's entirely up to you and your relationship with them. The other thing is, you will feel guilty that you are spending all this money on renting, and maybe you might have second thoughts or doubts or regrets about making that decision, because maybe you realize that, hey, I could be using all this money for something else. I could be spending it in different ways that benefit me more. Like maybe I should invest it, or maybe I should spend money on furthering my education, or maybe I should spend money on bettering myself, etc. So again, going back to, I think, the third point, which is you gotta have strong convictions as to why you're doing this, and remind yourself that there is a reason why you decided to do this. And always check back in whether or not you're hitting those milestones that you want to hit, to see if this is an actual viable situation. The good thing is, if you haven't burned bridges, you can always turn back and go back. But I think that's also another big decision that you're gonna have to make in the future if you decide so. And I cannot help you with that because I don't feel that way. I think overall, even though what I'm trying to say, they're all quite vague, this is purely based on personal experience and my conversations with other friends that have kind of like moved out or are wanting to move out. These are the things that I would say to friends who are considering moving out. Obviously, like I said, this isn't for the people who are in a very emotionally and financially stable place, who just want to have that nice experience of living on your own. I say go for it. If you're in a good place to do it, this is amazing. But if you're kind of on the fence, I say don't do it yet, and really try to dig deeper as to why you want to do this and what you hope to achieve out of it. And then try to figure out if there are other ways that you can try to hit that or to achieve what you're going for without moving out first. Just because the investment that you're putting in for moving out, it's a lot. Yeah, so all that being said, next video, I will talk a little bit more about the logistics and the technical side of moving out. There are actually a lot of resources available already, which I will probably link to in the next video, but I just wanted to add in a few other things that I never got a chance to learn before I moved out, and I wish I knew. They are not so much technical advice because I'm not trying to be like a guru in this area. I'm just sharing my thoughts, but there are going to be a few things that I didn't really read about or see anything about before I moved that I kind of wish I did. So yeah, if you found some value in this video, it's quite chatty, then you know how YouTube works. I'm assuming you know how YouTube works. Subscribe, like, blah, whatever. And yeah, I'm kind of new to this, so I apologize for any like strange technical issues or the fact that I'm just super rambly. Thank you for watching, and if you have anything to share, you can comment or you can DM me, or I don't know. Thank you so much, and bye bye.